Welcome to Cafe Grit. My name is Beth Campbell, and I am the author of Where the Hell is My Bacon?, a book about a corporate team that triumphed over shitty leadership with the help of fried pork. I open Cafe Grit as a place where you can join me in figuring out how to channel your grit and find your voice in the world, whatever that means for you. This is the place to go when you've got the hankering for purpose, the taste for fulfillment, and you're tired of living the rat race. Thanks for stopping in. Cafe Grit is now open for service. Hey everybody, welcome to Cafe Grit. This is the place to go when you've got a hankering for purpose, a taste for fulfillment, and you're tired of living the rat race. I'm your host, Beth Campbell. Thank you so much for being here. Y'all have heard me rant several times on this podcast about how lonely I get talking to myself week after week. I love having guests, and none more than today. I now call her friend, but this person and I met in a professional capacity, and she has helped me so much with not only my physical pain, but my mental pain and mind work as well. So, and she's known as the Pain Detective, no coincidence. Please help me welcome my friend, Karen Chappell. Karen, welcome to the show.
Thank you
I'm
so
happy
much.
to have you. Karen, you are in the UK. Is it spring there yet?
It's trying to be.
Seriously.
Yeah. I went out into the garden today and there's leaves coming out.
Oh.
And I have an apricot tree in my garden and the apricot blossom is there and the cherry blossom is coming out. Yes, it's beautiful. And the sun is shining.
That is the true sign. The true sign is when we've got the little daffodils and the narcissus and the hyacinths coming up, but there's nothing nothing in the trees yet. That to me is the sign. So you are definitely. Does your tree grow apricots? Does it actually grow apricots?
Sadly not.
Oh.
No. And it's a beautiful tree. It's about 10 foot, something like that diameter. It's huge.
Yeah.
And there's not one fruit on it.
Oh, that's so sad. Well, but you know what? I've had those trees before too. So Karen, we're going to get into, I love telling the story of how you and I met and how much you helped me, not only with my, certainly with my physical pain, which I know that's your bread and butter, but also with some mental work as well. But before we dive into that story and then get into a little bit deeper, can you tell us a little bit about yourself for the audience?
Oh, that's one of those open-ended questions. Where do I start? Tell me about you. I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. I have like several modalities, talking therapies, movement therapy, and body work. I am quite incisive, I think. I think that's fair to say.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Mm.
You're almost like for me, I mean, you had certainly your professional, your skill and your knowledge, but almost you're very therapeutic and mentor-like too. So it was I mean that was a benefit for me in addition to helping me with my pain. And you're mostly working with, I know you and I worked online, but do you work with online people still, or are you mostly in person? I know you've got a lovely little setup there in your house. Do you have a conservatory?
I do. I have a conservatory that I converted into a clinic.
I love it.
And then I'm building a garden room, and that's the one we talked about. So the garden room is right at the bottom of the garden, and that's my creative space. That's where I embrace nature. So I love watching the birds. I love feeding the birds, and I love watching the flowers as well, and actually really embracing nature, because very often, particularly when we're at work, if we're in the corporate land, we just go to work and we don't actually appreciate what's around us.
Remembering the corporate life, the word corporate.
I know. But we don't see what's going on around us, and we miss so much of life. We miss so much of nature because we're so focused on going from A to B. And really, we need to stop and smell the roses along the way. And that's what I do. And every now and again, only when it's warm, I have to say, I take my shoes off and I walk around on the grass, and so that I can really feel nature beneath my feet and get connected.
I love that.
We don't. We have artificial shoes that we wear that take us away from nature. The only thing I'm not keen on is when you get like critters in between your toes. Oh, it's not good, is
I
it?
have to be careful. Although I do have some areas in my backyard, but having a dog that poops in the yard, it's not usually
Oh
not.
no.
Yeah. But I have heard, Karen, that that connecting with the ground. In fact, there was a I don't remember, this is years ago. There was a grounding technique that I came aware of somewhere where they said just sit in a chair if you're not walking around. Just put your bare feet on the ground and just kind of envision that negative energy kind of dissipating into the, and we
Mm.
certainly don't do enough of it. You Brits are so classy in with your
Sorry?
conservatories and stuff. This is why I wore my special hat for you today, just for you. I
Love
hardly
it.
wear this, but this is, I thought I needed to class it up for the UK. But well, so Karen, you and I wanted to give the audience a little bit of background, and I love telling this story because there are a few times in my life where I have had such an impact with any type of I know coaching's not the right word, but any type of help.
Mhm.
It's certainly physical. And as somebody in the United States, and I don't know if you experience this in the UK, but there is a tendency for doctors to, kind of poo-poo everything. It's just treat the
Yes.
symptoms. And
Mhm.
I came across you, it's been about a year and a half, I think, because
Mhm.
I was having some chronic pain after I had a fall in, I think this was in late January 2022. I was out walking and I slipped on some ice. It was just a rookie mistake. I thought it was wet, but it was really glass. And in
Mhm.
Virginia, here in the state of Virginia in the United States, everything's either curved or slanted. So it was slanted. Fell down pretty hard on my right hip. Um, felt like it was getting better, got a big hematoma, had it x-rayed. They said, nope, nothing wrong, chunky girl, just lose some weight, it'll feel better. And the hematoma went away. I had some, I wasn't able to sleep on the right side for a bit, but that kind of went away. But then eventually, about 5 or 6 months after this, when it felt like everything has been mostly healed, I I found myself unable to sleep in any position. I couldn't
Mhm.
sleep on the injured side. I couldn't sleep on the other side. I'm a side sleeper, left side. I couldn't sleep on my back, which is not my preferred, but in a pinch.
Mhm.
So I was pretty desperate, having had not a lot of luck from the doctors, basically telling me you bruised your hip. You're just gonna have to figure it out, lose weight, live with it. Here's a diet for you. And a mutual friend of ours had put out a testimonial for your work with her pain. And so I called her and I said, "Is this woman for real?" And she said, "Yes, absolutely for real." Signed up for with Karen, and long story short, within a couple of weeks, I was already sleeping well better. And certainly within a few months, the pain was completely gone through this program. And Karen, you used to tell me, you would say, at some point, you're going to have a moment where you just realize,
Mhm.
oh my God, there's no more
Mhm.
pain. It's
Mhm.
happened. And I remember distinctly, I was out walking and I felt different. I felt like my hips were moving like they had when I was younger, like normally.
Mhm.
Felt like as our friend had said, I felt like I got my swagger back.
Mhm.
It
Yes.
was nothing short. I mean, when I was in my chronic pain, I was taking Advil, ibuprofen every single night, every twice a night, because every 4 hours.
Mhm.
I was trying to sleep in different positions, not working. I was massaging, I was stretching, I was trying to deep tissue it. I was doing creams. You name it, I
Mhm.
tried it.
Mhm.
So a big thank you to you, Karen, for
Mhm.
the work that you did for me.
It's
But that's kind of
it's
how we met.
teamwork. It's teamwork, Beth.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
not me doing it to you. It's us working together, and
It is
that's the
true, but
biggest difference.
I want to give credit though to your
Thank you.
skill and your mentorship and your support, because you're
Mhm.
not only, okay, Beth, here's our program, we're going to work through this. You're supportive, right?
Mhm.
Goodness knows I went through times certainly when we got into the mind work after the physical stuff had resolved, and I was, had some days, I had some moments, and you're
Mhm.
just also very supportive and just it's very easy to work with you because you're not
Mhm.
standoffish or, very clinical, like I'm used to here. Many good doctors. I
mm,
don't mean to come down on doctors in the US, but they're very busy and there's, sometimes very aloof and
mm. And they don't have the time.
right.
In the UK, I think you're given 10 minutes for a consultation, at which point they decide what they're going to do, whether they refer you out, give you medication, which is usually the case.
Yeah.
But actually, people are more than, we don't look at the individual muscle like here. It's not just that bit, it's the whole person, head to toe, inside and out.
100%. Well,
Mm,
that was true of you and me because I was complaining about a hip. I had assumed everything was attributed to my hip because of my fall, and I'm sure that that was a part of it. It was a hard fall. But
mm,
we were working on my knee on my opposite leg because I have a little bit of
yes.
something there. So there was some
Mm,
stiffness there we were working. We were working on the left
mm,
side. We were working on whole body. So that was really it was
absolutely.
different for me that somebody would be much more holistic and overall versus, like the doctors, here's a knee brace.
Mm, mm, yes.
Fuck it up.
Where, whereas if we take the time to really understand and give the body the techniques, the time to heal, I'm a big believer that you are the best person to know your body.
Yeah,
But we've lost the art of listening to our bodies, and we also give our health away to other people to fix. And to a certain extent, we do need support with some things. Obviously, like if there's an injury, like you
sure.
had
You
a
get in a car
fall, or
accident, you break a leg.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. You do need support then. But generally speaking, if you listen to your body, I mean, we've talked about everything from movement, nutrition, stress. We've covered everything. And then we can start to highlight different areas of your life and different things like food, substances. I do remember you talking about coffee at one stage and
mhm.
how you'd sort of stopped drinking coffee.
My first and only cup.
And then when you did have coffee, it was so strong, you weren't used to it.
Yeah,
And
that's still,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, see, you reminded me of all these things that we did talk about. We did talk about coffee because I have an ongoing desire to quit coffee. I'm pretty close. I actually have some now I mix my coffee in with either brewed cacao, which has does not have a lot of caffeine, so almost caffeine free,
mhm.
or chicory, which is a different type. So
Yes, yes,
experimenting with different
yeah.
types of things. So yeah, you had totally had I had forgotten it that you had helped me with that too. Well, let me ask you this, because you mentioned stress. How much do you think, and I've talked a lot about stress on this show and my stress within corporate world, which hopefully we'll
Mhm,
talk about because you helped me so greatly with that as well. But I've talked about how when I finally got out of corporate, I knew I was under stress. I was
mm,
aware, self-aware. I had no idea how much that
mm,
stress was
yeah,
affecting me,
yeah.
even being aware of it, even being somebody
Mm.
conscious of. Is that something that you find in your work that when people have chronic pain, that stress is it a big factor?
It can be, absolutely. My usual correlation is to say, well, think here we call it coat hanger shoulders. So if you imagine a coat hanger and then these
Yeah.
shoulders are up here, absolutely. And I can say, are you stressed? And people will say, no, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. Because they don't actually realise how bad it is. And I think it's fair to say you were the same. We
Yeah.
don't realise the impact that stress has. So yes, it can have an emotional impact, of course, but it also can have a physical impact. So yes, I can work on the shoulders, but until we sort the stress out, the shoulders are going to keep going back
Yeah.
because it's a combination of things. And when I work with people, I might look at stress as a possibility. I might ask some interesting questions. Like very often, I have a quite an in-depth health history questionnaire, and some of the questions are biased towards stress,
Yeah.
like eczema, for example.
Yeah.
So eczema could be something that you're reacting to. It could be stress induced. Some of the autoimmune conditions could be stress induced. And so by answering those questions in the health history questionnaire, it helps me to start to build a picture and gives me a flavour of what may be going on in your life. And then, of course, the biggest thing is, what does their face tell you? Not
Mm.
the words, because the words can be quite different, but the
Yes.
face can be, if I go,
Oh, I
you
know
know,
you said to me many
twitch.
times you were very intuitive about especially when we got into our so for the audience, Karen and I worked initially on the physical pain, and then we
Mm,
worked on we did some mind work, I think for even a longer period,
mm,
which was really instrumental for me in getting me in such a better place with not only my health, but also my mental health, because
mm,
in the midst of our work, I got let go from my job, and I really would not have been at all prepared. But I can totally really, and I'm sure you said to me many times, Beth, it seems like you're a little, just you would tell me, just relax your shoulders, because I would, feel myself,
mm,
wouldn't feel myself,
mm,
automatically kind of do that. And
mm.
in fact, you gave me some, we did some meditations and you gave me
Oh,
some
yes.
good advice as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Pain is a really good one for coming across the face as well,
yeah,
because, if we're in pain, sometimes I can describe it as grey. The face turns grey, and
yeah,
people don't smile when they're in pain.
yeah. Interesting. I also feel, because I tend to talk on the phone a lot, I can sort of feel pain sometimes in people's words too. And I'm sure you can
Oh,
too, when people are
yes.
talking and you just sort of,
Yeah.
what's going on today? Something you
Yeah.
just you
Yeah.
don't sound quite right. So, well, how
And
did you, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just about to ask you,
Yeah.
now you've been through what I now call body logic mastery, or it could be body logic magic. Are you more aware of yourself and other people?
Oh, totally. Certainly myself. In fact, I still use some of the techniques in your program occasionally when I feel myself, if I'm under stress and things go a little out of whack, or maybe I've been, because we were talking earlier, I am currently in COVID lockdown. I am sick for the fourth time in just over 2 months. And so sometimes being sedentary and not being out as much, you stiffen up and then the stress starts to hit. And so and I'm very much more aware of just something feels a little off. It's not really pain yet, but it's just a little off, in addressing that much quicker. And yeah, I think anytime we learn, whether it's mind, body, spirit, whatever, where we learn to be more aware of ourselves, we just naturally become more aware in other
Mm,
people, where
mm,
we do know it. Yeah, I
mm.
100%, which is interesting. I hadn't really thought about that, but it kind
That's
of,
fabulous. To me, that's fabulous, because I love helping people. That's my passion. I love helping people, and I love helping people to be pain free. And if you're helping people to be pain free, or even if you're pointing it out,
yeah,
I'm helping people by proxy, which is even better.
that's awesome. See, bonus.
Mm.
How did you, what brought you to this place? What's your narrative that you got to this point where you were like, okay, I'm going to help people with, you've got this body logic. I'm going to call it magic, body logic, magic.
It's been an evolution, I have to say. It's been my personal journey. And my personal journey started as a finance manager, and I was in administration, dealing with books, accountancy and numbers, and creating databases. And it was very logical. Didn't have a lot of connection with people at all. And I also used to smoke 40 a day. You used to smoke a lot. Did you not know that?
Wow. That's like, I don't know what your packs are. That's 2 packs a day.
Yeah.
I think that's a pack is 10 cigarettes. Wow.
It's 20 here.
Oh yeah. So I think 20 is in a pack. So that's 2 packs a day.
So I
That's
used to
a
smoke
lot. I used to
40.
smoke too, and I thought I was a pretty heavy smoker and I was about a pack a day. So, wow.
Mm, yeah.
How long has it been
And
since you've quit smoking?
since I smoked, well, I've been in this house um 24 years and I've not smoked since I've been here. So it's
Nice.
25 years. It's a long
That's about the
time.
same for me. I quit in 2001 after I'd smoked for 12, 15 years, kind of
Mm.
always wanting to quit. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so my health journeys, I that's why I understand. When I quit smoking, I always wanted to be a former smoker rather than an evangelical ex-smoker. Like, don't come near me with that cigarette because I know what it's like.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
what it's like to have an addiction. And I transferred my addiction for smoking onto exercise. So I went to the gym, I became a gym bunny. I really loved it. I could see the writing on the wall for the company I was with at the time. And so I decided to retrain in the fitness industry. So I did a raft of training, like Pilates instructor. I became a personal trainer. I worked with neurological conditions. I just went, I just did a lot. And I describe it as a career crisis. You know how everybody talks about the midlife crisis? Well, I
Hmm.
had a midlife career crisis.
Yeah, I hear that.
And I started with the the physical side, like the movement, and then an unfortunate experience with one of my friends at the time led me into counselling. So I couldn't help her in the way I wanted to. I wasn't trained and I wanted to be able to help her. So I decided to take a 4-year counselling diploma all at the same time.
Wow.
And then I was teaching Pilates at the local hall down the road, and people were coming to me with bad backs. And I thought, I'm a responsible individual. People are coming to me with bad backs, and I don't actually know what's happening, and I could make things worse. So then I decided that I was going to become like a massage therapist. So I did a lot of those sorts of things, became absolutely, truly fascinated with the human body. It's an awesome thing to behold. It really is. And then I thought, I'll become an osteopath.
How did you get all this fit in and you're not like 100 years old? That is a lot of training and experience. That's amazing.
I,
I
I,
knew some of this, but I didn't realize, I've said to you many times, you're kind of like, I feel like you're kind of like my counselor sometimes or my therapist.
yeah,
And I don't think I knew that you had training in that formal training. I thought it
yeah.
was just something that you did.
It was nice. No, I do have a counselling training. So I saw the movement side of it and the talking therapies. And then when I added in the body work, in isolation, each of these things is great. So personal training is great, counselling is great, massage is great. Put them together, and that's one very powerful solution.
Hmm.
So you only need to tell me once because you're working with multiple therapists in one. So you only need to tell me once, and then I can start to extrapolate because obviously I'm quite a logical person. So there's a bit of me while I'm working with my client. Yes, I'm a warm, caring human being, and I want the best for my clients. But there's also a bit of me that's thinking, why are they standing like that? Why have they said that? What's
What a
going
great
on
combination. Because you are a very logical person. You're,
here?
methodical and you really think through these
Mm,
things, but you're
mm,
very intuitive as well. And that's such a great combination and such a rare combination when you have somebody who's not that, there's degrees, but I'm just saying that you're like
mm,
the X factor of
mm,
having this logical, but also very caring and intuitive, which I think is why I love you so much and you had helped
mm,
me and continue to even today.
mm,
Um, it's funny you were talking about being a gym bunny, and when I had my injury, I was kind of in that mode too. It was sort of I have to get my walk in. I was walking 3 miles a day and
mm,
up and down hills, and I was like, I have to get my
mm.
walk in. And when I fell, I really probably should have gone home. I should have gone home because it was a hard fall, but I took my phone out of my pocket as I fell right on my phone. Lady, those of you ladies out there who wear leggings you know right where that pocket is on the side. Had my phone in there, fell on my phone, put my phone in my other pocket, stuffed my pocket full of ice, and then continued on the remaining 2.5 miles of my walk. And I probably should have just turned around and gone home, but that's what we do. But I was so
Mm,
paranoid about I have to get my walk in because I was in that mode. And it's interesting that you had that experience too. Because I know so many who do, you go from like, okay, I've lost some weight and I'm going to the gym, and now like I'm in a panic if I can't get to the gym. And
mm.
sometimes you maybe should not go to the gym. I'm sorry, but
That's the addictive side, though, isn't it? That's our addictive.
Mhm. Yeah, very much so. Well, that's
Yeah,
awesome. A
I
lot of
do.
things I didn't know about you,
Oh,
Karen, which I'm very happy to hear.
mm.
Um, so Karen, I'm going to ask you this, and tell me about what is the trailblazing approach?
I think now I've got to the point where I know the success of Body Logic. So it's trailblazing because it's a different way of thinking, and we have talked about it, and it's not dealing with things in isolation. It's looking at the person as a whole and looking at everything and how the body can heal itself. And that I think is trailblazing from the it's different from the norm. The allopathic way of working is quite different. And there are some people who talk about holistic, but holistic very often can mean um, crystals or
Very
candles, or
specific. Yeah, it's true.
it's that sort of thing. But to the best of my knowledge, nobody is working in the way that I do. They might do parts of it. There might be counselors, there might be personal trainers, there might be intuitives. But to the best of my knowledge, nobody works in the way that I do. And that for me is quite unique, and it's a trailblazing approach. And I would love to be able to train other people in Body Logic approach so that we can start to really live our best lives. It's a bit pithy, but living our best lives.
I totally agree. I mean, I do think that certainly from my perspective, your methodology and your program, it just seems like a horrible word to even use because it doesn't do it justice, but it is very unique. It's something that I never experienced before. I will admit, I had a great testimonial. I trusted her. You and I started working together. Of course, I had an immediate affinity with you, but I'd been dealing with this pain for so long, and I just thought, if I can get just a little improvement, that will be great. And to see
Mm,
the improvement that I got, and then doing the mind work with you. So I don't know, are you kind of combining? I know well, we did anyways. We did even when we were doing the physical work, we did really
mm.
got into some robust. Are you bringing more of that mind
That's
work?
yeah. Yeah, so whether it's called mastery or magic, that's where we were. So Body Logic really starts off with an introduction. It starts off with maybe a 1 hour session or a consultation to for me to understand whether I can help, because I can't help everybody, sadly. And then the next stage is Body Logic, which is, although it's purely physical, it does bring in some of the emotional side. And then where we were, that is Body Logic Mastery, which is a 9 month program, and that covers 3 months of body, 3 months of mind, and maybe 3 months of spirituality. Or that last section is flexible because not everybody's got a spiritual inclination. But then it's almost like a rebirth. And this is what I'm finding when I'm working with my clients. Very often people come to me with physical pain. And that's where we start. We start with the fall or the plantar fasciitis or the whatever it is. And then as we start working together, it's a beautiful process. Everything starts to unravel. And I think I've talked to you about the body acting like melting butter or melting chocolate. So once it starts to relax, it's just everything just goes, and it's a really beautiful process. And actually the mind does that as well. So when we start to work with the mind, we just start to unpick different areas. And by unpicking, I'm looking at my own hair here. So if I'd gone out in the wind and it was all knotty, you just would not take a comb and
From the
start
top.
at the middle.
No.
You just wouldn't. You start
Right.
here and do a bit here, and then you might do a bit there and
Yep.
then do a bit over here. And that's how I work. So we do a little bit here, a little bit there, and gradually we start to smooth everything out. And then all of a sudden, you can do that.
Mhm. Why do you think that people tend to come to you more for the physical at first, even though there is most definitely, in my case, 100%, most definitely there was some mental work in there too. You think it's denial? Is it easier? Is it, I mean, not aware?
I don't advertise the fact that that's what I do. I
Ah,
advertise that I'm a pain detective,
gotcha.
and people associate pain
Well,
with
that
physical.
makes sense. That's why I came to you. I didn't, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
interesting though how you do unlock that.
yeah, and that's an interesting phrase. So it's an unlocking. If I told people that I was a counsellor, they would have a different association.
Yeah.
And the difference with how I work and it's all about unraveling you as an individual, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, whatever it is. Whereas if people thought I was just a counsellor, they would be coming for an emotional therapeutic session. And if I started there, then I would end up moving it into the physical, because you can't just deal with that bit in, I can't anyway,
Yeah.
in isolation.
I would imagine that, and it certainly was true to some extent for me too. I would imagine that for other people, when you are able to release that pain, that physical pain, there is also a release of sometimes emotional pain.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that does happen, when I work with people in person. So at the moment, I can do online, I can do it in person, or a blended approach if somebody's near enough and they want to, if you wanted to hop over the pond,
I
Beth,
would love
then
to. I will. I
that
will
would be
say.
lovely. And so I have had people walk through my clinic door, they just sit down and cry,
Oh,
because it's just such a nice place to be. It's like, and they're safe,
yeah.
they're supported. And if it doesn't matter what's going on in the outside world, it's like a sanctuary. When they walk through that door, they just go,
I can believe it because I know I had several moments of the tears flowing in our sessions as well. So for if anybody's out there, what are some of the things that might bring somebody to you? So as a pain detective, you said it's usually some physical pain. What are people you mentioned for me it was my hip, of course. Yeah, you've mentioned
yeah.
plantar fasciitis. What are some of the common things that people might go, you know what, I need to get this fixed and let me reach out.
Yeah, I think the most common one is back pain. Back pain, sciatica, shoulder pain, any joint pain, and sometimes nerve pain as well, like sciatica is nerve pain. So nerve pain, joint pain, because pain is pain. When all's said and done, people sometimes say I've got knee pain, foot pain. It's all pain,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter where it is. It's how your body interprets that pain. And we've all got different levels of pain. So your level 10, excruciating, is going to be different to mine. And I need to understand what it means to you, so that I can start to feel well, although I don't feel what you're feeling, but I have a better understanding. I think that's a better way of describing it.
I think that
Um,
we also as
sorry?
humans we've lied to ourselves that we just have to deal with it. Because I know
Yeah,
a lot of people
yeah,
who different types of pain who just who just bear it and just
yes,
live in misery. And I do think it
yeah.
affects their quality of life as well as their probably the duration of their life too.
Mm,
Because that where we've been conditioned to, yeah, especially not just women, but I think especially as women, because oh, you have children, you have cramps, you go through menopause, you
mm,
just used to dealing with pain. So it's just, and I think that's what I
mm,
think I feel a little bit from, our at least in the States, our quote Western medicine.
yeah.
Again, a lot of great doctors, but sometimes you just sort of met with, you know,
And
just
do you know
dealing.
one of my biggest frustrations, Beth, is when people say, it's my age.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Amen.
It's not your age. We're only just starting.
50 is the new 30.
Absolutely.
No, I completely agree. So anybody out there, you do not have to live with your pain. There is help. I hope
Mm.
people will look you up. What's next for you, Karen? What's next on in the
Uh,
world of your life, your
well,
program?
I like I say, I would love to train other people. That is my next big thing. I'm working on my website at the moment. Hopefully, it's going to be launching at the end of this week or maybe next week. Um, and then I start working with a training program, and that would be my next biggest next step, world domination.
So now the master is passing on the legacy to others. I think it's great.
Mm.
I think there need to be more of you and your awesome program out there. Thank you so much for being here today. Karen, what is the best way for people to reach out to you if they maybe want to contact you about some pain, or maybe you're interested in hearing about your training, or
The best thing is to have a look at my website and to email me. So the website is karenchappell.org and email is karen@karenchappell.org. I am on social media, but to be honest, I love interacting with people one on one. So network is my thing. Although I do have accounts on Facebook, Instagram, I'm probably more active on LinkedIn. But who knows? I might get out of my comfort zone and start posting on social media a little more.
what? No, come on. I think we need less social media if I'm being truthful. I love that you have such a great word of mouth quote marketing, because I do most of my marketing in social media, and it is a drag sometimes, I will tell you. Sometimes I
Mm,
just you know what, Beth, just walk around with little cards of about your book or your podcast and hand them out. I
yeah,
think I would almost rather do that than
yeah.
have to go on social media sometimes.
Say hello to people and smile. It's like because there's nothing that speaks volumes and seeing somebody's face smiling at you, saying hi, how you doing? Whereas on social media, that to me is all broadcasting.
Yeah.
It's all shouty. It's not comfortable. Not
It's
for me
not.
anyway.
It's, and I've done pretty well on social media, but it's also very negative. There is
Mm,
not, I mean, there are so many people. That's why I say people out there. There are so many people in both physical and mental pain, because it's so apparent when you look at social media, and it just astounds me, the most benign. Somebody will put out a video of they take pictures of babies, and somebody will just eviscerate them for their voice, or you're handling the baby wrong, or people just, there's nothing that is immune from people. And I believe that people who say those types of things usually under anonymity are are in,
mm,
are in pain. How shitty
mm,
does your life have to be if you're out there making mean statements? I mean, it's just
no. It doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't.
hmm,
And I have gone onto one or two chronic pain sites, and I'm not able to reach out to them because of the rules of engagement, if you like, whatever they call it.
yeah.
And my heart goes out to these people because they're talking about sort of like back pain and stress levels, and I'm thinking, oh, I wish they'd talk to me because I might be able to help. But they're just so It's just it's frustrating. It really is frustrating.
How many times in my past have I waited and waited and waited? Like, for example, quitting a corporate toxic job. But and then once it happens, right? And I've done this with coaching. Like, why did I not? I hired a VA. I contacted you. Like, why did I live with this pain for this long? And
Mm,
in defense of the pain, I was living with pain. And as soon as I found out about you, it was probably the same day after I had talked to our friend, and she said, "Oh yeah, call." She regaled as I now regale your services and your great program. I didn't wait for very long, but all too many times we do. And then we go,
mm,
why didn't I do this sooner? Right?
mm,
So anybody out
mm.
there, if you got chronic pain, don't wait, reach out. I I cannot say enough. And Karen, I will put your information in the show notes so people can find you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I feel like we haven't talked in a couple months because I've been sick and then we had some scheduling issues on my part. But it's so
Mm,
great to talk to you, and I'm so glad we're going to get some people to hear about your awesome the magic that you bring. Again, I
mm,
cannot say enough about how much you've helped me and continue to help me, and I'm so happy to call you friend and happy that you were able to join us today.
mm. My pleasure, Beth. Love the hat.
Oh, thank you. Just for you. This is my Mr. Karen hat. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. You can reach out if you have any questions, listen to the credits. You'll have all my information there. And never forget, always remember, you are a freaking badass. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Take it easy. Hey, everybody. Thank you for stopping by Cafe Grit, where the moxie is fresh, the passion cold brewed, and everything is served with a heaping side of mojo. For more Cafe Grit episodes, please check out bethanncampbell.com/cafegrit. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider giving it a rating or review on YouTube, Buzzsprout, or your favorite streaming platform. I'll be forever grateful, and in return, I'll wish upon you copious amounts of bacon, your favorite hot beverage, and of course, pie. I'd love to connect and hear about your grit experiences as well. Please go to bethanncampbell.com for links to all my social media. Cafe Grit is a product of Beth Ann Campbell LLC, all rights reserved. Thanks again, and remember, you are a badass. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Take it easy.